As you guys are well aware of, I buy a lot of sneakers. Sometimes I buy a sneaker thinking it's gonna be a great pair of shoes only to realize it was a huge mistake. So here's the sneakers I massively regret buying. Starting from a small regret to this purchase keeps me up at night and haunts me. First up, the off-white Air Force One Mid Pine Green. Look, if anybody else out there regrets buying this pair of shoes, it's probably because of all of the spikes, or maybe just because it's an Air Force One Mid. And I can fully understand those reasons. They are a little bit bizarre in terms of some of the design details, but that's not really the reason why I regret buying this pair of shoes. For me, it's kind of, I just wish I didn't get this one. So when we first got all of those leaked images of all of the different off-white Air Force One mids that were going to release, out of all of them, I immediately took a liking to the all-over white pair. However, when these released, I wasn't too sure if that white pair was ever going to release, if it was just going to be a friends and family, or if it was just some kind of sample. So I had the opportunity to buy this pair for retail, so I was like, you know what, I want one of these Air Force One mids to keep in my collection. And then the other week, Off-White actually released the white pair. Now, I don't really like this sneaker enough to have multiple colorways. I'm not that big of a fan of this shoe. I like it, but I just want one colorway, and that's the white one. So yeah, like I said, we're starting with a small regret, but it just gets even worse from here. This next one frustrates me a whole lot more because my bank is a whole lot more empty. It's the Aime Leon Dore New Balance 1906R. Look, I don't know what it is about this pair of sneakers, but I just do not look good in it at all. And what makes it even worse for me is how excited I was to get this pair of shoes, and I was actually planning to rock them throughout the summertime. Like, I was planning out all of the sneakers I wanted to take with me on vacation, and this one was a pair that I really tried. Like, I was trying on a bunch of different outfits. Like, no joke, I've probably spent a couple hours trying to put different outfits together with this pair of shoes. Like, I've seen a lot of people wear this pair of shoes and it looks great, but for some reason, every time I throw it on, I look like I'm headed to mow the lawn. That's not even the worst part. I paid like over $300 for this pair of shoes because obviously it's a New Balance collaboration and I did not manage to get these things for retail. So yeah, I definitely think that this pair was an impulse buy, and it's not to knock on the 1906R model from New Balance because I have other pairs of those and they look perfectly fine. I honestly think it's just a combination of the colors on here mixed with the wide base mesh and all of these like silver metallic kind of panels that are over it. It just really doesn't fit with my personal style. Finding out that this pair of shoes just does not work with my personal style was a little bit of a surprise, but this next one I should have known better. It's the Sporty and Rich Adidas Samba. Now this one's pretty similar to the other one, as in like it's just not a sneaker for me. Again, as we know, the Samba model is one of the most popular that's out there right now. And the biggest problem with this is I knew what I was getting into. I knew that the Samba was just not for me. Like, who am I kidding? I'm not a guy who wears Sambas. I've gone through my entire life never buying a pair of Adidas Sambas, and now all of a sudden, because they're super hyped and everybody's wearing them, of course I decided to buy a pair. Oh yeah, and obviously because it's so hyped right now and this is a collaboration, I had to pay double the retail price. In my defense, I review sneakers for a living, so it's only fair that I try out all of the most popular sneaker models. And I will say this is probably my favorite colorway of the Adidas Samba, for whatever that is worth. But yeah, actually wearing the Samba model, it just doesn't fit with my style. It's just really not me, and it's just not a sneaker that I could see myself wearing, at least for now. But at least I tried. Next up, we got a pair of Yeezys, and I really do not know what I was thinking on this one. It's the Yeezy 450 Cinder. Now, in my opinion, the Yeezy 450 is kind of like the Yeezy model that you only really need one colorway of. But the one pair of Yeezy 450s that I would have in my rotation would not be this one. This Cinder colorway is really interesting. Online, it looks like it's gray, and in hand, it's a really weird color. It's not exactly gray, it's not exactly brown, and it might even have some kind of weird greenish tinge to it, which in my experience has made this pair of shoes quite a pain to actually put a cohesive outfit together. Cloud White colorway is much more straightforward, and I think it actually looks pretty cool just because of the color. It kind of looks like a bone. All over black colorway again makes it easier to style, and it kind of looks like a ninja shoe. But every time I put this pair of shoes on, I've thought to myself, like, something is kind of off here. Now, it's not only just sneakers that I regret buying, because I did want to tell you guys about this hoodie, which is a pretty big L. This is the Colors Clothing Puffer hoodie. Now, I want to start by saying that this was not an impulse buy. I thought about buying this hoodie for a very long time. I thought it through because it is on the more expensive side. And when I finally decided to pull the trigger and buy this hoodie, I was hit hit with freaking import fees on arrival. Okay, so I have this hoodie. It's now the most expensive hoodie that I've ever bought. I better freaking love it. So I pull it out of the box and I'm like, damn, this is a bit bigger than I thought it was gonna be. Throw it over my head and I wiggle into it, and then I look at myself in the mirror and I realize I've just put on a freaking sumo costume. Like, when I have this hoodie on, I'm literally round in shape. I've tried it on with a bunch of different pants, trying to create different types of outfits to see if wider pants or slimmer pants make it work. Nothing really changes the fact that I look like a freaking circle. I think the idea of this hoodie is pretty cool. It's a puffer hoodie, which is something I've never personally had, but it's just not really practical as a hoodie. Like, when I'm wearing it, I feel restricted, like I am wearing some kind of suit. And of course, there's no return, so there's that. Okay, back to sneakers, and this is one I'm actually really annoyed about. It's the Converse Cold Wall Geo Forma boot. And I was so hyped when I bought this pair of shoes. I thought it looked so incredible, like it's super futuristic and it's just pretty wild looking for a boot. Even when I got them in, they're actually surprisingly comfortable and they're affordable if you manage to get these things for retail. But with all of these benefits and pros to this sneaker, I never stopped to think, when the hell am I gonna wear a white boot? I mean, it's certainly something I think about now, because this is a very heavy pair of boots, so wearing them in the summertime is just not really practical. Also, unlike other boots, these are pretty different, so I don't think they look great when you're wearing shorts. Then in the wintertime, especially here in the UK, you step out in white shoes and you can basically just know that you're gonna be throwing them in the washing machine every single time. I still think it's a really cool looking pair of boots, and I've kind of had this idea that I just want to try and dye them black because I think that would work so much better with this silhouette. But the materials on here are really different. It almost feels like it's some kind of waterproof neoprene that's on here, and then you've got the midsole. I have no idea how I would ever change that. But yeah, if anybody knows how to dye these things black, let me know in the comments so I can salvage this situation. Alright, we've got another New Balance sneaker on this list, and it's the New Balance 2002R Arctic Blue. Let me quickly paint a picture for you. Imagine you're headed to your favorite restaurant to get this chicken sandwich that you really wanted. Man, you know that you're gonna love this chicken sandwich and you're hungry and hyped just thinking about it. So with your stomach growling, you stand there and you order it, and the employee tells you they're out of chicken. You're super annoyed, but you're still hungry, so you decide to go with the Filet-O-Fish. And as you're in the middle of eating this Filet-O-Fish sandwich, the employee tells you, oh yeah, we've got chicken again, we're back in business. Well, that's kind of exactly what happened with this pair of New Balances. I bought this pair of shoes because at the time I could not buy this one. It was way too expensive. And guess what? After a couple months of me rocking these ones, the price plummeted on this gray version, and I was able to pick these things up for just a little bit over retail. And now in my sneaker rotation, if I had to decide between these two in terms of like what pair of shoes am I gonna wear today, it's gonna be this one over this one any day. And I'm definitely not saying that this blue colorway is bad. It's perfectly fine, but it's not the gray one. I like this gray one way more than I like this one. So yeah, in a perfect world, I would not have bought these. Alright, we've finally reached my ultimate regret in terms of sneaker purchases. This one is literally what gives me nightmares. It's the Alex 9SM Mono boot. Now, I've actually got a lot to say about this pair of boots. So first things first, yes, it looks extremely crazy. It's entirely made out of foam. Now, it's also a designer brand, so they're very expensive at like $400. And typically, I never really buy designer shoes, but I took a look at these things and I was like, yo, I've got to try them out. They look pretty sick. Well, I think these are a massive freaking catfish. From the side, these look super cool. They have all of these swooping lines and just the design of it is super futuristic. I really like the look of it. But then you put these things on foot and they feel like a literal brick. It's almost like they weren't designed for a human foot. The foam that these things are made out of feels like solid plastic. Oh, and did I mention that this is pretty much their only good side? Because when you turn them like that, they are weirdly thin, like really slender. Like maybe it doesn't show up on camera. Here's a regular pair of sneakers. Look at them side by side. Like how weird is that? It's so freaking slender. But what I will say is when you see these things in pictures, they look super cool. You can see people putting some crazy outfits together and they look great, but the practicality of them and what they actually look and feel like when you have them in hand is terrible. So yeah, another expensive pair of shoes that I regret buying. Okay guys, well there's all my embarrassing secrets. Feel free to return the favor down in the comment section and let me know if there's any sneaker regrets that you have. And check out the latest episode of Upcoming Sneakers to stay in the loop of all of the upcoming drops.